A 16-year-old girl is enduring lots of psychological trauma as a result of persistent sexual harassment from the auntie's husband. Breaking her silence to Joy Prime on the issue, Mausi, as we chose to call her, says even though she has reported the phenomenon to her auntie, nothing has changed. Mausi fears of succumbing to her uncle's pressure because the future of her education is at stake since he is her only support. Joy Prime's Emmanuel Jivenu has more in the following piece.
When we are all asleep in the room, then he comes to where I'm sleeping. When he sees that I'm asleep, then he tries to use that advantage to sleep with me. But I wake up, so I don't allow him. At times too, when no one is in the house, then it's only the two of us. Then he told me that I should allow him to do one. He won't tell anybody about it.
This is the distressing story of 16-year-old Maushi, not her real name. She has been forced to endure this abuse on countless occasions. This nightmare began when she lost her mother at a tender age. Maushi assumed she would be loved and cared for, but she's had to endure chains and strings of sexual harassment and unsolicited touches from her auntie's husband. The place she hoped would be a safe haven for her is now a place of torment.
At times he tries to sleep with me, but if I don't allow him, then he changes mood towards me. He gives me money that I should allow him to sleep with me. If I don't, then he takes back the money from me.
Reporting sexual harassment can be a difficult decision, especially for minors. The fear of being victimized and stigmatized by society forces many young girls to recoil. Accusing her auntie's husband of harassment was difficult, but she gathered a lot of strength and confronted the issue. Sadly, her auntie did not take her disclosure seriously.
The first time we started, I told my auntie, but she didn't believe me. She thought I was telling lies because I was a small girl, and she was always saying that there's a small girls like me, I don't know anything, so I shouldn't be saying that.
The harassment persisted after she reported to her auntie, and eventually her auntie witnessed the truth.
The last day, okay. It's Miss Midi minute to film. Shade.
Okay, then.
So, Papa and Person Neda. And the minute to film me who sign this say. Or yes, maybe son, I will say, or now, like a toy baby behind it. No, one any shade. Son of a catcher. I am not Peso Ben Aqualano. Or Peso Ben Saparanada, tell of Peso Ben. Timidimenia. Namus I am say, Edena Okoya Aqualano, or so, or any shade.
In fact, what made her believe Maushi's story was that her own sister, who once lived with them, also complained of similar sexual advances from her husband.
This Obetramen chain. Obetramen chain. Betramen chain be 1 year. No, or no complaining. Say, Papa and person need be. Then Cassa, tell me that Casano. I said, me baby, yea, person me man and person me baby dinner, the Nanka must fit my finishing. I say, Sani mana or ye, a Musuni mana say, yeah, and yes, say, and I'm in the bar by one so. I said all day, you bet me, yet, no, never.
People who commit sexual abuses often target vulnerable individuals due to poverty, age, gender, or disability. Poverty is among the root causes of sexual harassment and makes it difficult for victims to report it.
I told my grandmother, then my mother's 2 sisters, they are 4. So all of, in fact, the family members, my mom's side, they all know about it.
What did you tell them?
I told them what the man has been doing to me in the house, and as for my grandmom, I told her that the man tries to sleep with me anytime there's no one in the house or we are asleep.
As me, yes, my report. It's a cinema most higher than mammy. Colana Mena a woman. Me, yeah, Nasa, your own coba. Now, when you be man Colan to school. Until Anna mean to me. Eh, incident per se. I can't view school more. Then the women China. Now say, Bibia, I am.
Sexual harassment can have a significant and long-lasting impact on victims' mental and physical health. Maushi is traumatized by the harassment, and the painful experiences are robbing her of a happy childhood.
Whenever he comes home, they will be insulting me. Even if I've not done anything, they will be insulting me. They will be telling me that I'm a witch. I came to their family to destroy the family. They used to be saying that when I finish BC, I should pack my things and get out from the house. When he's around, I'm not comfortable. So anytime he's in the house, I get out from the house.
When do you go?
Either to my friend's house or I'll be working inside the area, just like that. It's even affecting my studies because at times when I go to school, that's the only thing I'm thinking about.
Maushi is in her final year. In a matter of weeks, the 16-year-old would be sitting for the Basic Education Certificate Examination, BECE. It is a life-defining test in keeping her dream of becoming a nurse aloft. But that dream is ebbing away by the day.
I'm in Form 3 and it's every 2 weeks for us to go and write BEC. But I don't know how I'm going to prepare for the BEC.
Why?
Because I'm owing school fees and registration fee. And the equipment for me to write the BEC, I don't even have one. When I add the school fees and the registration fee together, I'm owing $470.
Unfortunately, her auntie's business has collapsed, making it difficult to foot her niece's school bills.
My auntie takes care of me, but she can't provide the financial needs for me.
What about the husband?
As for him, he doesn't take care of me, he takes care of his children because he says I'm not part of his children.
I kind of 4.7. I'm here saying me go social escape and me say me saka. Ma ko trias na ma try say ye pamom. I say come with you so me trias na ma fi school. It's me nyanya sky. I say me dwuma say na me ton tomatoes ne ye. Am ko ji no bi na abomeka. Ti mama tu. Nti ama me say me nye edwuma bia.
Maushi is constantly sacked for BEC registration and school fees of 470 Ghana cedis. She's living with anxiety due to the uncertainty of her future. Despite the adversities thrown at her, Maushi is determined to succeed in her academic pursuit.
Monday I went to school, they sacked me. Tuesday I went, they sacked me. Then today I went. I want to go because it's every some few weeks for us to go write BEC. And my teacher told me that the rest of the week we are going to use to solve past questions. So I want to be there so that I'll know the part of questions they are answering. That's how I've been going to school.
Well, with the academic performance, excellence, she's very good. In fact, all the subjects. Yeah, she doesn't have a favorite subject like that, but she is good in all the subjects. In terms of expression and stuff, she's very okay. It's all about financially. Sometimes when she comes to school, she doesn't have money for feeding, sometimes not even pocket money. When she comes to school, sometimes she feels so down, but she's someone that she knows what she's going for. So anytime you see her, she's learning. Anytime you see her, she's learning. Even though she'll be in a sad mood, but she forced to do something for herself.
Students, but in the studio here with me is Godfrey Ebo Ahin, who is with the Public Education and Focal, and he's a focal person at the Greater Accra branch of Suraj. Grateful that you could join me. Has this issue of this young girl who is being sexually harassed by her auntie's husband come to your notice?
Not that we know of at the moment, but we were invited by the journalists who carried out the exercise to speak to the issue this morning, but officially a complaint of this nature has not been lodged with the commission.
How does this come across to you? You've watched excerpts and listened to this young girl talking about her frustrations and how she intends to make it at the coming BC. Also the fact that that's the only person who supports her in her education, and she finds herself in a dilemma.
Yes, it's a pathetic story, and it's not an isolated situation. It's a daily occurrence in our nation now, and it's a reflection of how our society has become. Now, the social support that used to be provided for persons who are in need now seem to be broken down. So you realize that in as much as this girl is in a need, she has nowhere else to go. So the husband of the auntie, who happens to be the breadwinner now, is trying to take advantage over this girl. And it's not the best. Because the girl's right to education, she has a right to education, she has a right to shelter, she has a right to grow up with her parents, she has a right to live a normal social life. And you realize that now that she's going through this sort of abuse, even her stages of development is going to be affected. She'll grow up with a psychological trauma, going through life not believing that she is also worthwhile, as provided by Article 15 of the 1990 Code, that the dignity of a person shall be invaluable. So she has a right to dignity. She has a right to also live like a normal child. But it's not her fault that her mother died when she was young. But we know that when it comes to childbirth, it takes two people who give birth. So now that the mother is not there, what happened? What about the father? That's the question we want to ask, because the Constitution provides that a child shall be entitled to the estate of the father, whether she's born wedlock or whatever.
Out of wedlock.
Out of wedlock, yeah. So she has a right to a share of a parent property. The fact that her mother has died doesn't mean she should be exposed to the hardships of the weather. The other issue too is that we don't know what kind of inheritance she is entitled to, because we know in this country we have the matrilineal and then the patrilineal.
Yep.
And so now that she is in this state, what is the family of the father doing, or what do they have to say? What is the family of the mother have to say? Is the auntie the only person in the family who can support her or who can be of help? And if she is also not in a position to provide that kind of necessaries of life, then is there nobody else in the family apart from her husband who is also trying to abuse this girl? So it's a situation that in the first place she couldn't have gone into, but we should still look at available remedies by exploring our options.
Is this something that Suraj wants to take up?
Yeah, if a complaint is lodged with us, we'll take it up, because I remember about a year or two ago, when these children are about to write their BCE, there's something they call camping. So one of these situations happened in Dansuman. The girl was assaulted by the head master then, and a report was made to Dovsu. The child's father felt that Dovsu were not speeding up the issue for them, so they lodged a complaint with the commission. With our intervention, the headmaster has been jailed, as I speak to you, for 15 years. So it is a matter that falls within the human rights mandate of the commission, and we will take it up if we are adequately invoked.
So in this case, is there some sort of punishment for even the auntie who she has complained to severally but is not doing anything about it because probably she wants to save her marriage?
Yes, the Children's Act makes provision for it. I think Section 17 or thereabout of the Children's Act says that if you are aware or you become aware of an incident of child abuse, you are duty bound to report the matter to the Department of Social Welfare.
Yep.
Also, the Criminal Act also makes it possible that if you are become aware of the commission of a crime, you also have to report. So the woman also, there's an onus on her to also, as it were, take an action. And she cannot just throw her hands in the sky and say that I can't do anything about it. So she is equally liable.
You have spoken about how the support system has broken down. We are aware that our social welfare is not up to the standard that we expect. What kind of remedy could be available for this young girl?
In the first place, it has to be reported. And once it is reported, I know Dovsu has a link with some shelters. So if a report is made to Dovsu, looking at the exigencies of it, I think they will provide shelter for her. If a report is also made to charge, we can also do a collaboration with Dovsu and provide. Her immediate need is now to take her from the scene, be able to get her prepared for her exam.
Yep.
Then afterwards, life continues. But where the auntie says that she's waiting for her to finish her BEC and then she will leave the house, the question we want to ask is, after she has left the house, what becomes of her?
Yep.
At this material moment, I think what we should be also concerned about is how to trace the father of the
child. So
very,
that
very
he can also play his role,
Yes.
because also the Constitution provides for necessaries
Yes.
for such people.
Yes, the Children's Act says that the parents are supposed to provide the necessaries of life.
Yeah.
Just as
For their children.
the Criminal Offences Act, I think Section 79 also says you should provide the necessaries of life to your children. So they are duty bound. At this material moment, it's just a duty which has been breached, a duty owed the girl which has been breached. And it's like almost everybody is shielding away from that duty. But it's not her choice that she came into the world. Yeah. It was a decision that was made, whether she came through unwanted pregnancy or whatever. She is among us, and she has to be taken care of.
Godfrey Ebuahin, I'm grateful for your time this morning. He is the public education and focal person at the Greater Accra branch of TRAJ. And he says that when a report is made to TRAJ, they will take the matter up. And you heard a number of reliefs that they could give the girl, and also people who could be in trouble because of what is happening to this girl. Let's take a break.